It's how much snow can you produce in that window, and it's a race. Again, that's why right now at Blue Mountain we have the most open terrain in Pennsylvania. And not only is it the most open terrain, but it's fantastic conditions.
Even when Mother Nature doesn't deliver, Blue Mountain Resort does. Welcome to Pocono Mountains Podcast, everyone. I'm your host, Jim Hamill. This is Season 4, Episode 37. The Poconos has long been a pioneer in snowmaking, from the early days at Big Boulder to today, where the biggest and most advanced operation is at Blue Mountain Resort in Palmerton. The crews there have been cranking out the white stuff full bore this winter. With some very cold temperatures, they really needed that. And a large investment in the technology that makes the mountain one of the industry leaders, the ski resort that others across the country look to in order to learn and adapt to today's climate. How Blue Mountain does it, that's in just a bit. The Poconos is a year-round destination for millions, with 2,400 square miles of forests, rivers, lakes, and mountains, with iconic family resorts and historic downtowns. It's the perfect getaway. You can always find out more at PoconoMountains.com or watch PTN, the Pocono Television Network, streaming live 24/7. Now back to the episode. Nick Delich was kind enough to take a break from snowmaking on a brisk January day to talk with us about the operation he oversees at Blue Mountain. The resort has 40 trails open, a source of pride, which is such a testament to the work behind the scenes to make snow, even when Mother Nature doesn't provide it. Here's our longer talk with Nick and Ashley Sire at Blue Mountain Resort Watch for the complete story on the upcoming February Pocono Mountains magazine. Enjoy. Hi, folks. Jim Hamill with Pocono Mountains Podcast, sitting atop the Summit Lodge at Blue Mountain Resort in Palmerton. It is a crisp January day, and we're here with the guy who makes all the snow all season long with his crew, Nick Delich, your operations guy here. You've been doing this for years. What do you love about the job, man?
You know, it's a unique job. Nothing else like it out there. You have the opportunity to take a grass landscape and turn it into a winter wonderland practically overnight. It's an incredible job. There's nothing like being out there in the morning. You hop on your snowmobile, you make sure you do your safety checks, and all of a sudden the sun starts popping up across the valley here. Again, there's nothing like it. It's great.
You guys are out in the weather, all types of weather, but mainly cold is when you can make snow, 28 and below, wet bulb temperature, and you have thousands upon thousands of miles of infrastructure underground and 550 snow guns, 136 new for this year. So that's massive, right? Like even just installing those before you guys got going this year, and then all that it takes to maintain that and keep that going.
Sure. It's a massive undertaking every year. And you hit the nail on the head when you brought up the maintenance side of it, right? So the ski season ends, and day one after, we are back at it, whether it's installing new snow guns, maintaining the 550 that we already have. It's highly technologically advanced. It is not years past, snowmaking was going out there with channel locks and a torch. And some places still operate that way, but not here at Blue Mountain. It's an extremely advanced system, and it gives us the opportunity to have an atmosphere like this.
Automated operation, so you can go to your office and really like kickstart the whole operation again, because, you know, it's not often that we get dumped with snow. We want to, but Mother Nature's not as cooperative. So you guys can really make this because of the investment that's been made here.
Right. It's as simple as a click of a button. Now there's a lot of stuff going on in the background after that click of a button. But it's really utilizing that window of opportunity. Like you said, 28 degrees wet bulb and below. It's how much snow can you produce in that window? And it's a race. Again, that's why right now at Blue Mountain we have the most open terrain in Pennsylvania. And not only is it the most open terrain, but it's fantastic conditions that our guests continue to come here year after year because they expect it, and we deliver every year.
The one other thing that you mentioned during our PTN Live was that other ski resorts are coming to you guys now to understand how you have such an advanced system and your strategy, because they're finding the need to upgrade like you guys have already done.
Right. So at Blue Mountain, we started back in 1995 with the automated technology, and we haven't stopped since. If anything, we've hit the gas pedal even harder. So you have your big resorts up north, you have your big resorts out west, that they've relied on just natural dumping of snowfall. Well, guess what? They're not seeing that anymore. So they're looking at us as the leaders in the industry in snowmaking, and we've got it down to a science. So it's extremely rewarding to have these other resorts come here, fly here, literally, to understand our operation, how they can improve theirs, learn from our faults, and gain from our wins. So we're incredibly thankful that again we started back in 1995 because we are the leaders in snowmaking in the U.S.
That's something to say, man. It really is. And then also the rewarding part about being outdoors and just that natural setting, the wildlife and things that we kind of went over before, but it's something that people might not think is part of the job, but it's very rewarding in a sense where you get to obviously create this winter wonderland, like you mentioned, for the skiers and snowboarders, but then you also get to immerse yourself in a beautiful natural setting.
Sure. Again, there's nothing like it. It is such a unique position for any of our employees here, but more particular our snowmakers. They'll be out there on a gun run in the middle of the night, and they'll encounter wildlife, squirrels, bears, coyotes. It's amazing to be out there and really connected with nature and the wildlife. And our guests enjoy it too. That occasionally you'll see a squirrel sliding down the hill and it's entertaining. But again, it is a great place to be.
Good stuff. Nick Delich, operations guy here at Blue Mountain Resort in Palmerton. You guys have been doing this, setting the bar quite high here. Largest operation here on the East Coast. Anything else you want to add that I'm missing right now?
No, it's going to be a great season, and we can't wait to see everybody up here on the mountain.
Very cool. Nick, thanks for joining us here on the podcast.
Absolutely.
Welcome back to the podcast. It's your host, Jim Hamill, and I am back here with Ashley Sire at Blue Mountain Resort. Ashley, we are back into the midst of another great ski season here at the mountain. You guys have 36 trails open right now, but by the weekend, 40.
Yeah.
That's an exciting thing to be able to offer to so many people who come here year in, year out looking for some great winter fun.
Yeah, I mean, to have 40 trails open this time of year is just pretty impressive, and we're so excited about it. It's the most open in Pennsylvania, so it's, truly a testament to our investment in snowmaking.
So we were talking with Nick a little bit on the podcast about how amazing the technology is here, the 550 snow guns, of course, 136 new for this year.
Yeah.
But it's really about that investment, right? And recognizing that, there's a shift in the way and the approach that Blue Mountain has to go to make this a sustainable outdoor rec kind of model, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the investment in snowmaking, we can see it paid off, right? I mean, to open with the most trails in Pennsylvania, to consistently have the most amount of trails open, to, we get these rain events and we're able to just refresh conditions and kind of open like nothing ever happened. So, that's been incredible. And, we talked a little bit about the Western resorts have been coming out here to actually check out our snowmaking model, which is, when you really think about it, that's pretty incredible, right? These big resorts out west that, could probably fit about 20 Blue Mountains in them, or we're really the model for them. So, just with the weather pattern shifting, the East Coast has already been, so far ahead of the West. And then Blue Mountain's continual investment has just been amazing. It's really been the standard.
It's a source of pride, too, because then you're really able to provide the core parts of your mission here, which is providing a family-friendly environment where people of all skill levels can really come out here and enjoy different types of terrain. They can do the après ski. So there's the whole package here.
Absolutely. I mean, conditions are everything, right? And it's everything for that advanced skier who, might be hitting PA's highest vertical and, looking for those double black diamonds, but also for the beginner too, right? You want them to have really great conditions to learn on, because if their first experience is great, they're going to keep coming back and they're going to stick with the sport.
Yeah, and you guys have the largest snow tube park in the country.
Yes,
That's also another big source of pride, too.
Yeah, we can't forget about snow tubing, right? So we actually have 56 snow tubing lanes, which is the largest in the country. New this year, we invested in the sonic snowmaking experience. So, after 5 o'clock, that snow tubing park turns into a whole nother fun experience. There's colorful lights on the snow. There's music pumping around the park. It's really fun for all ages.
So we talk about just the whole package here at Blue Mountain. You guys are really proud to not just do this in this season, but you're looking to the future and just kind of making a big promise on like, hey, we've invested in this, so we're here to stay and we're here to continue to bring more people into the Poconos to enjoy these colder months of the season.
Absolutely. And, I think a really great point to make is if you don't ski or snowboard or, maybe even snow too, just come up, grab a drink, hang out by the fire and, just take a look at the snow. It's pretty incredible what we do here. So you can, you're always welcome to just come up and check it out.
This view isn't half bad either.
View isn't half bad either. Yeah.
You could see for miles. My gosh.
Yeah. What's really unique about Blue Mountain is we have two launch locations, right? So we have the one at the bottom and then the one at the top. There's not many mountains where you can drive to the top lodge and enjoy these kind of views. So it's great.
Thank you for having us here on the podcast. Again, Ashley Sire with Blue Mountain Resort, featured on Pocono Mountains Magazine, an amazing, exemplary part of the Pocono Mountains pride in snowmaking here, setting the bar quite high, not just here in the Northeast, but across the entire country. Thanks again.
Thank you.
The prolific snowmaking team at Blue Mountain. Check them out this season. Head to PoconoSki.com to learn more. Thanks for listening to Pocono Mountains Podcast. We'll have a new episode each week, highlighting lots of the fun things you can experience while you're visiting the Poconos. Subscribe to Pocono Mountains Podcast and leave a review and or comment on whatever platform you listen.
These might be small towns,
but they have a big town feel. Our small towns have fashionable boutiques like the Apple Tree.
and families are gonna love stores like Dunkelberger's Sports Outfitter. I think my son's gonna love this.
Our small towns are big on feel. Find us at PoconoTelevision.com.
We're back. Thanks for listening to Pocono Mountains Podcast. I'm Jim Hamill. Now for a Pocono Mountains Podcast Extra. This past weekend, they went back in time in Tobyhanna, harvesting ice like they did a century or more ago. We have a listen back to a story with Brianna Strunk from a couple years ago about the annual ice harvest, held the last Saturday in January. Enjoy.
The clean, pristine waters here in the Pocono Mountains were perfect for a booming industry from the late 1800s to the early 1900s. Ice was harvested en masse from local lakes, then shipped to major metropolitan areas such as New York City and Philadelphia so people could keep their food and drinks cold. While that industry no longer exists thanks to the invention of refrigeration, there is a family with help from friends and the Coolbaugh Township Historical Association working to keep history alive every year by holding an event on one of the very lakes here in Monroe County used for ice harvesting.
Mill Pond number 1 is the name of the lake because it was a mill pond for the lumber industry back in the mid-1850s. There was a sawmill along this lake, and they timbered off the area upstream from here and floated down to this lake to mill it in the sawmill. The area was all lumbered off in the late 1800s, and the Pocono Mountain Ice Company leased the lake from the Tobyhanna Lehigh Lumber Company to harvest ice. They built a small ice house here, 1896, used that for a few years, then they built a larger ice house in 1907. That ice house was 500 feet long, 100 feet wide, and 50 feet high. It holds 60,000 tons of ice. And that was a major operation here. They used it for many years until it burnt down in 1938. Yeah, ice harvesting, late 1800s, early 1900s, there were at least 19 large-scale ice harvesting operations in Monroe County, all the way down from Sailors Lake all the way up to Gooseboro. And at one point, it was said to be one of the largest industries in Monroe County. Ice was cut off these lakes and then shipped by railroad car to metropolitan areas, New York City, and distributed by the Iceman to the people who had ice boxes in their kitchen to keep the food cold. For the ice box, it only lasts about a day or two, depending upon how the outside temperature or how often it was open. So the Iceman was pretty busy delivering ice to the ice boxes. During the height of a harvest, there'd be over 100 men in each ice harvest operation during the wintertime. Then in the summertime, they had a smaller crew of 12 or 15 men who would move the ice from the ice house, put it into boxcars for shipment to the cities. The invention of the electric refrigerator in the 1930s was the beginning of the end for the natural ice industry. So there was pockets of the ice industry still active until the early 1950s. In Gooseboro, and Warnertown, 2 ice houses near here. And the demand for that ice was for cooling boxcars. For shipping perishable items, they had compartments in the end of the boxcar, and they would put this natural ice into the end of the boxcar and keep the food cool.
All the ice houses would soon shut down in the early 1950s. The tools became artifacts. Then in 1993, Bill Leonard's dad had the idea to create an ice festival during Coolbaugh Township's bicentennial celebration the following year.
Well, my dad had been collecting ice tools for many years. Actually, when he was a boy, he worked in the ice industry. My dad decided to build an ice house and reenact the ice harvest with the tools he had been collecting. Unfortunately, my dad died of a heart attack in October of '93. He had the house completed, but not the ramp. So we continued, my brother, sister, and I, and friends and relatives, continued building the ramp. And we had the first ice harvest in February of 1994 as part of the Coolbaugh Township bicentennial celebration. The ice was 24 inches thick that day, and we've been doing it every year since. The Coolbaugh Township Historical Association has partnered with us to sponsor the ice harvest, and they help us out with the financial end of it. People come from miles around. There's a core of about 30 or 40 people who parents, grandparents had worked in the ice industry, and they just come back year after year and help out. So we currently harvest on the last Saturday of January, conditions permitting, and put about 40 or 50 tons of ice in the ice house, and people use it for picnics all summer long. Our sportsman club used the last ice this year on August 28th. This ice house will only hold 50 tons, and that would be the size that some resorts would have. I know Pocono Manor had an ice house, Skytop had an ice house. That would be the size they'd use for the smaller resorts type things. When we started off harvesting ice, we figured, we'll do it for a few years. And every year somebody comes up to us and said, boy, this is a really good thing. This is really great. They bring their kids back every year, so it just keeps us going,
The annual ice harvest here at Mill Pond Number 1 is held the last Saturday in January, weather dependent, and it's free for the public to come out and watch. For the Pocono Television Network, I'm Brianna Strunk.
Winter is full of great events like the ice harvest. Head to PoconoMountains.com/events to learn more. We hope you enjoyed Pocono Mountains podcast. Please remember to subscribe anywhere podcasts are available. Come visit us in the Pocono Mountains. Plan your trip today.